Good evening. So, in my last post, I got Frank out his comfort zone. The comfort zone, okay, baby? In my last post, I posted Frank's graduation. He was graduating with his bachelor's in rehabilitation sciences.
Rehabilitation studies.
Rehabilitation studies. I'm bad fiance. I don't know the degree in. I just know my boo got one. How did you feel about that? Clearly, he is not a traditional student. He made the conscious decision to go back and finish school from the first time. So, how did you feel about that?
When you first go to college, sometimes you don't necessarily know what you really want to go for. You just going for different reasons. Sometimes just to get away from home, because people say that's what you need to do, or you may be going. You want to be with your friends and whatnot. When I first left for school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. My mind was on something totally different. Yeah, but I went and I was distracted, wasn't focused, so I didn't really do what I needed to do. So after my freshman year, I came back home, worked, did some little class at community college, and then dibble dabble, took my time in it. But to make a long story short, you really just gotta find your purpose and find yourself, and really know what you really want. I always say start what you finish. You also got I realize I have adult ADD. Sometimes it's hard focusing. I try to study and I get distracted, this and that, and you gotta do what you gotta do to take care of yourself. And I went back. Sometimes you kind of be embarrassed at your age to go back, but you just really know you should be embarrassed. That's just so that you are focused on finishing what you started. So it was a very proud moment, and the support I got when I walked across that stage and the love I got shown, it really did a lot. And you really said, hey, you did that. So it's a great accomplishment even at my age. So I'm just gonna keep pushing forward and set an example for my son.
That's real, and that's what I appreciated. I personally didn't care, even when we were dating, you know how some women are we gotta be equally yoked. He gotta be on what I'm on, or he gotta, have more than me, or he gotta accomplish more than I have. I didn't care about that. As long as you taking care of business in life, I didn't care about whether you had a degree or not. As long as you're not a dummy in life, that's what I cared about. But for him to do that on his own, to be like, yo, you know what, I want to finish. It's this opportunity I can do. I kind of want to, step up the game in the mental health field, because that's where we met. We was working at a mental health facility. I was all for it, I'm all for it. So that was big to me. And then, of course, he made the point that he wanted to set an example for Khalil to finish what he started. So that was big to me. Were there any other non-traditional students that you interacted with in your program?
Definitely. Graduation day, I met a lady. Most of everything's online now due to COVID and everything, but excuse me. she was in her 50s, you know. My grandma went to college and she's in her 50s, so, you know, it's really no, what they say, the day you stop learning is the day you die, so.
Correct.
You gotta keep going. Ooh.
Like the allergies tearing him up. Him and Khalil.
Yeah.
But that moment was a great moment. Like I said at the end of the video, we ended up getting lit and enjoying ourselves. And it was just kind of like a, you know, full circle moment for us. Just because I know that he had talked about it when we were dating. So to be a startup family and him finishing was pretty cool. But it also sparked the topic in my mind to talk about these imaginary timelines that we set for ourselves, because I did everything quote unquote right? Like I finished high school, I went straight into undergrad, got in and out in 4 years, went straight into a master's program. That took me a little longer because it almost took me out, you know. So I did that in was it 2.5 years? I think I added a semester, so 2.5 years. It was supposed to be just a 2-year program. But I still have these like time constraints that I feel like I put on myself, like, oh, you got a master's, but you're not in the career that you want to be in just yet, or you know, you don't own a home, or you're not driving your dream car yet. I'll be turning 32 in 2 weeks, and you know, it's just all these things that you thought you would have accomplished, or you thought that you would be doing by this age, that it's just not a reality. So I wanted to kind of have the conversation to see, well, I know other people feel that way. I was reading an article today or whatever in Harper's Bazaar about it, a horror magazine. So that's what I do to regroup, get myself together. But I know other people do it, but do other people feel it as hard as I do? Like, we're in the same household, and I feel like Frank is more comfortable with where he is and each step he's taking, whereas I'm like in panic mode, like I'm in my 30s, oh my gosh, my kid is growing. I'm even doing it with my son, like he's about to be 2, we gotta find him the perfect school. Like, it's just, I'm all over the place. So like, do you ever feel like that? Because I feel like it just be me.
Nah, when I was younger, I was like, what am I doing? What is my purpose? But, you know, I think in life, you know what you want, put realistic expectations on yourself. You see how you can attain it, and then you go for it. If you don't get it, it's on to the next plan. You can't worry about what somebody else got going on. Yeah, some people are gonna be more advanced. It's their time, and they execute it. You know, life is about choices. Some choices we make put us in a position we get in, but you know, I know I'm gonna make the best choices I can, and hopefully I get the end result. But if I don't, I'm not gonna let it drain me or take away from me, because then at the end of the day, I'm not really living. I'm living for what I want instead of just living in the moment.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times you put those expectations and you think about too forward and you forget in the present. Then you're taking away from what's around you and your spirit, and then you don't know how that's affecting others. So, you know, a lot of people, they living, but they're not living. So, you know, I'm humble. I'm comfortable where I'm at, but I know where I'm going.
So how does that affect you when you say affect others? How does that affect you or our household when I get in those moods? Does it like annoy you, or do you feel like this my purpose with my, one of those things with my lady, like I gotta ground her, this is where we eat each other?
It depends on how you receive it, but your person's body language speaks a lot, even if you're not saying nothing. You know, sometimes you'll be down on where you at, but again, you can't worry about what other people got going on. You can only worry about what you got going on. And you can't try to force yourself to do things that maybe some other people are trying to do, because you're not there right now. So you just gotta be where you at and know that you're gonna be there one day, but you gotta do what you can in this moment. Don't overdo yourself either, though. You know.
Yeah. And I be needing to hear that because that's hard to do sometimes, especially like when you surround yourself. It's good to surround yourself with people who are motivated and who are driven. But I think a lot of that you have to fight like the comparison. Comparison is the thief of all joy, right? So sometimes, even when I'm truly excited for someone or even a sibling, like I'm the youngest of five, in life, I'm still the youngest, which a lot of people are like, well, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Age wise, you're the youngest, but it don't really make sense to me. I be, in that competitive mode, or really not. Why can't I do better than them? But why aren't I right there with them? You know what I mean? I think that's the thing. Like, what am I doing wrong, or what can I gain from my siblings? Or I compare when they were my age, where were they at? And I think that's bad too. Like, any type of comparison, whether you think it's positive or negative, like you just can't do it. You can't do it to yourself, because then you just get in this downward spiral. Like, I have moments, like he said, with my body language, like I will just shut down because I'm in my head about what has to happen in this certain time frame, or with me getting to a better place, what I can't do that I feel like I should be able to do. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I want to up and let's book this family trip. Let's go to Barbados or somewhere, or let's do this. And Frank be like, baby, what? Like, we can't do that because you saw it on Instagram. And it feels silly to say, like, but that's really what that is. I think it's the exposure and the whole culture right now of everybody getting what they want and having it right now. No ifs, ands, or buts.
But that's not reality, though.
It's not. It's not.
Yeah, you gotta live within your means. You want to enjoy life, but you want to, you're working towards something. Is this gonna take away from what you're working towards? So is it really worth it? I'd be like, is my insurance paid? Is my car paid? Do I have food in my refrigerator? Before I do all this other stuff, I gotta make sure this is.
If Khalil point at something, can I pick it up and put it in the cart?
Yeah.
That's what's important. Like, yeah. Looking for him a good school, like that's important too. Like, we don't just want to throw him in a YMCA so that we could be popping.
And there's nothing wrong with the YMCA Boys and Girls Club.
It's not. It's nothing.
I'm a product of Boys and Girls Club and all that. So
we both were. We just have aspirations, of a different classroom setting. Frank put me on the Montessori classroom setting, so that's what we're aiming for. But those things, they cost money. You know what I mean? Even if they don't go all week, that costs money. It's just little things like that. The house thing, like, y'all, to be transparent, it is bothering me so bad. I want to get in the house so bad. I'm like, I don't even care about a mortgage loan, for example. This is one of them things. I don't care about a mortgage loan. I don't care about getting approved. I don't care about none of that. Let's just rent something. Like, I have to be in the home for the aesthetic of a home. Like, every time the seasons change, I have become one of those moms where I want the house to flow with the seasons. I want my son to feel, and my future children to feel, you know what I mean, the year go by. It's just one of those things. My sister-in-law is big on it, and I love that she does that. I don't even think it's for the kids. I think it's just for her. She's an art teacher. She's creative. But I love that she does that, and it's rubbed off on me. So I'm like, I want to do the same thing. But in the apartment, go ahead. My baby allergies killing him. But in the apartment, I'll vibe with y'all for a minute. It is killing me. Like, the space, everything. We hosted New Year's. I couldn't even stand to look at the videos from everybody being there at New Year's. We had Khalil's godparents and their families over to bring in the New Year. I couldn't post nothing about it. I was not feeling it, none of that, because I'm just like, I'm so sick of an apartment. I'm so sick of it. it's just the aesthetic of it. Like, they all look the same. I'm just sick of it. So even things like that. And I think that's where voice of reason, and especially in your relationship where you have each other to balance each other out, I just like to pull the trigger on things about how I feel. And Frank is definitely the opposite. First of all, I'm sure you guys can pick up on the fact that he could care less. Like, I don't care about an aesthetic. I don't care about. The point is, we got space, we got somewhere to live, it ain't raggedy, and the goal is to own something. Like, just hold your horses and wait, it'll come. You know what I mean? We'll get approved for the right thing, and we'll be in the right place. Like, it'll come. Just hold your horses. Like, just rest your nerves. And I need that. I need to be grounded sometimes, because I can get so down or just unnecessarily worried about the wrong thing because of these things that I've placed in my head. And I don't think they come out of nowhere. Like, I think it stems from exposure to social media. You don't have to seem like you're that bored. Damn.
I'm not bored. I'm tired.
Work wore you out like that?
Work always wear me out. It can be very draining sometimes. That's why I need my little power nap sometimes.
So you going to bed when we get home?
Nah, I'm not going to bed.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
What was that?
I need that.
Need what? Until next time.
But what was I saying? Oh yeah, social media is a thing. Like, the exposure, so you're constantly comparing what you see. But to me, I think, like, the value of, like, success and, like, where you are in life. Like, in my 30s, I should be this. Like, I never was a big marriage person, so even though I'm really excited. I never was a big marriage person, so I wasn't like, oh, I have to be married by this age, or oh, I have to have children by this age. My thing was, I have to be thriving, I have to be in my career at this age, or I have to own this, or I want to be free in this. You know what I mean? Like, all the way. Financial freedom.
But I do believe at certain stages in your life, you need to be checking certain things off, though.
That's a good point.
At certain stages in your life, you want to work hard, and you want to enjoy, the fruits of your labor. Then as you get to a certain age, you want to be able to share that with your grandkids, your children. Do it differently. A lot of people talk about kids leaving the nest early and all that, but I think a child, as long as they're being productive and they're doing something to better themselves, I think a child should stay home, stack up, go to school, come back, save up. You want to put your kids in the best position. So that's something I want to work towards as I'm getting older and accomplishing different goals, and just steady improving. Because it's not just about me, it's about us. It's about Khalil's future brother, sister. And I think that's one thing in our culture that we got to break that cycle of.
It needs to change.
You 16, work. I mean, you want to teach a kid how to work. You don't necessarily have to go and work for somebody at a fast food spot and all that, but you want to teach them and give them a work ethic, you know what I mean? But you also want to set them up for the future, learning about, finances. Like, I was late to the life insurance, but, her father been hipping me the game about life insurance, my friends, and, just understanding different ways to put your family in better position. So I think that's a key, as we try to progress in life. And, I'm sure some of y'all, when y'all see this, drop some gems, educate us.
Yeah, put it in the comments. Things you've experienced.
It's supposed to be like one tribe, so I think that's another thing we're missing. A lot of people don't want to, once you gain that certain knowledge, you don't want to teach a man how to fish sometimes. So we got to get back to teaching each other how to fish so we can be strong as one, you know what I mean? That's just my take on it.
No, that's real. Because a lot of us be like, they don't know. Like, they ought to know, or, that's their fault. You know what I mean? They need to educate themselves. Well, come on. let's extend a little grace. Let's extend the olive branch and try to aid each other in that. We need to come back as a community. But
go ahead.
that's a good point. You do need to be. You just shouldn't be like, well, just F it. Like, it is where it is. Like, no. Like, you definitely need to be progressing. But I think a lot of that comes from, because really, like, when people say comparison comes from social media and stuff, I do that more so physically, like with my body, like what's going on, you know what I mean? Like, you know, how my appearance is more so. But I feel like the whole success thing, comparing where you should be at a certain age, I feel like that comes from the generation before you, or like things that, your parents have instilled in you. Like, for example, my parents graduated from college in the 70s, and my dad went on to work for UPS, I think, and then my mom started this management program with Kmart and ended up getting a better position at IBM in the 70s as a black woman. So you're talking about them doing jobs. My dad went from UPS to Pitney Bowes, so got fired from UPS because he was late one day. My mom found out she was pregnant with me, was working for IBM, and then my dad started working for Pitney Bowes in the mailroom, worked his way up. Before I hit pre-K, he was in management at Pitney Bowes and became a regional director for them. But you're talking about people working certain positions. My mom was a CSO software manager and getting paid a certain amount to do like 1 to 3 duties that the average person today graduating with a bachelor's degree. Mind you, both of them had a bachelor's degree in psychology. Not nowhere related to what they were doing. Nowadays, it's like your degree has to be specific to what you're applying for, unless you have these general cross degrees. Like I'm psych, so like I could do like social work, HR, you know, things of that nature. But or supposedly, and doors weren't opening like that for me. But the average person graduating with a bachelor's have 12 duties. They've condensed multiple positions into this one position for a third of the salary. So you grow up having these conversations with your parents and what they expect. You know what I mean? Like they're investing in you. That's what my parents used to say. Like, we're investing in you, right? So when you go to school, you don't have to work. We'll send you an allowance. You won't have a car your first year. You need to be in your studies. You know, we'll help you get a car, but that's your responsibility. Like, you know, the second year I was working on campus, so they're like, oh, you save up for your down payment. Like, so they were like spoon feeding me these responsibilities with expectations that when I'm done, especially because I got a master's program, like, oh, well, you can do your master's on your own. So this is where my siblings stepped in. My sister specifically moved out there to live with me so she can pay rent and I do the other bills. And to Nashville, she came to Nashville to live with me while I attended Lipscomb University. And after I was through with my master's, they were like, wow, you should be exceeding all expectations. You have 2 degrees. And having that conversation with them, like, you don't understand. Like, it was like a slap in the face to me. Like, I did everything they told me to do. I busted my ass. Like, and I'm still not getting these job offers that they thought I should have had. So I think that's like heavy, like, oh, you haven't made it yet because my parents are sitting across from me like, what the hell is going on? You really haven't made it yet, and I don't understand why. Like, now I'm in trouble for getting a second degree. Like, what do you want me to do? You know what I mean? So it's just a whole domino effect. Like, my dad skimming through my resume and what's going on with this and who did you apply to here, and then them reaching out to friends, you know, trying to network, and it's like, dang, I am really a failure. because fresh
That's
out
how
of
it made you
school,
feel?
that's how it made me feel. I'm like, I have disappointed my parents, and I did everything they told me to do. And ever since then, I have had like this cloud over my head. Like, I have got to make something of myself for real, and hit it big, no matter what I do.
But that kind of goes back to like what I learned from when I left after my freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do things for others. You want to make your parents proud, but you can't make decisions based off their happiness.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I always tell me, if I go back and do it again, I'll probably do welding. You know what I mean? My uncles. Great thing about my uncles and my aunties, I got to see the different type of Americans we have in society. I got an uncle named Uncle James. He worked at a factory, great provider for his family. Same thing with my Uncle Bubba. He worked at the paper mill, great provider for his family. My Uncle Speed, he's moved up at Louisiana Tech from all types of positions. My Auntie Colleen, she's over at Grambling. And then my mom, when I was a kid, she was a hustler, you know what I mean? She would do, she's a nurse practitioner now, but she wasn't always that. She was LVN, she worked at Carter Blood, Care Drawing Blood. She flipped newspapers in the morning. My dad was a welder. So I got to see all different type of walks of life. Mm-hmm. And, once I really self-reflected, I was like, the decisions I'm making is really for them, but what do I really want for myself? So even though you're talking about your failures, nobody wants to be a disappointment, because my family was disappointed in me, but what do you really want for yourself?
Yeah.
Because if you're doing that for others, and even if you get it, like you said, you want where you want to be, you're not fulfilled.
Right.
But really for you.
Yeah.
So that's why now, as long as you got breath running through your body, your blood flowing, and you're able, I say live for you for now. Live, love and respect us, but you got to do you.
Yeah.
You can't, even with me, you got to do you. You got to do what makes you happy, but you got to respect the relationship.
For sure.
So anybody out there listening, stop and do something for yourself. Make time for yourself. Even communicate with yourself. When we're in the car, you're driving, you might say, you be talking to yourself. Why don't I do this and that? That's like therapy. Because I talk to myself, just don't check me in. I talk to myself all the time.
Yeah. Do you ask yourself questions and then respond back? Because that's when it goes from like normal to
I just put myself in like different scenarios and like, how should I handle this? Or if I'm frustrated with you, I'd be like, how do I need to approach it?
Frustrated with me? I'm perfect. How could you ever be frustrated with something like this?
For those who know, at least. You already know what I'm dealing with, so. But I enjoyed the discussion. I think it's a good discussion talking about expectations and being in the moment and
set goals, but give yourself grace on the expectations on yourself. I think goals are healthy to an extent. Now that's another combo for another day, because Boo Boo sent me a little meme where this dude was talking about goals. They're bullshit. But I think, healthy goals.
So what's your take from this conversation?
My take is, honestly, we didn't disclose everything, but I think just in having our conversations, we met during COVID, so we've had conversations like this time and time again while we were dating, because there were no dates, like there's no going out, like we were sitting at the house, and Frank would cook and I would make margaritas, and we would sit like this on his living room floor and chit chat it up. But my take from this is that give yourself grace, set healthy goals, do all you can to accomplish those goals, and whether you accomplish them or not, applaud your efforts. You know what I mean? I always pray that the Lord will bless my efforts, and then I turn around and I apply myself for the efforts, regardless of the time frame I set for myself, or regardless if I actually accomplish the goal or not. Like if YouTube don't take off, I'm gonna apply myself for stepping out of my comfort zone and not be in the cool, in the background at least, and just let everything flow and hype everybody else up. I'm gonna apply myself for stepping out and trying to create my own platform. So, that's what my takeaway. What's your takeaway?
I think my greatest takeaway is to learn from our parents, what they did well, what they didn't do well. Like one thing I want to utilize as far as, because you were talking about you got your master's and all that, and your parents, they were like, why aren't you doing this and that? I want to make sure that with Khalil, that
Why you ain't making this?
yeah,
Why you still hitting me up?
I want to make sure Khalil, all the options he has in life are put in front of him. I also want to teach him leadership and how to be independent. So when it's time for him to make the next step, there's no doubt or hesitation on what move he wants to make. And he's doing it because it's really what he wants to do. So when he gets there, if it's not what he wants, he knows, hey, I tried, I did this. Now I know I got other options. I think that's the biggest take, listening to what you said and just self-reflecting on myself, on where I was and where I am now. So
Yeah.
I think that's my biggest take, and that you need help. So I'm gonna pray.
I got help, baby. I got you.
Continue to pray for this lady right here.
Just to piggyback on Father of the Year, because I do care about my kid. He talk about him more, but I do love my son.
I think that's the one thing about fatherhood, man. Once I became a father, it's like
I love my son too. But yeah, I want him to have the freedom. I want him to have the freedom to fail. You know what I mean? I think that's necessary in growth, and I don't want him to be pressured to be like, I gotta make it because I gotta hit this milestone at this age. I gotta make it. I want him to be more so passionate about his purpose and fulfilling his purpose and what he feels like God placed him on this earth to do. As his parent, I feel like I need to provide him the environment for him to freely do that. So, not to say our parents didn't. Our parents did the best they could. They did the best they could, and that's all we can ask them. And we turned out bomb AF, okay? I think we turned out pretty straight, so, they did the best they could. And we love them. My parents understand now, though. They don't ask no questions no more.
Mama, I love you. Mama. Rest in peace, Takeoff. Mama.
Peace out, y'all. We'll have more combos like this as they pop into my brain. I have no rhyme or reason for this YouTube channel. I just wanted it to be a eclectic vibe and just like a full embrace of real life. You know what I mean? Just to showcase a bit of myself. Plus, everybody who knows me says I'm crazy and I should display my craziness. But aside of me being a clown and a fool, I'm an authentic person. You know what I mean? So that's all. So we'll have more talks like this as they pop up in my head, because you know.
Peace. One.